Why were the Pittsburgh Steelers able to beat the Baltimore Ravens at Acrisure Stadium on Sunday? There was a simple formula, and anybody playing the Baltimore Ravens can follow it, and the Pittsburgh Steelers executed it to a T. Welcome back to Mic Drop Sports, everybody, here on a Monday. Let's dive in here on why the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to get this win, able to survive and become 8-2. There was a formula that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been following, and it's one in which can control Lamar Jackson, control that run game. And what Joey Porter said, bend but not break. And that's the philosophy that they've followed. But however, what were the key points of why the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to be successful? The defensive front of the Pittsburgh Steelers was lights out. The linebacking core, lights out. And the cornerback play was absolutely amazing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were able to continue to keep Lamar Jackson inside of that pocket over and over and over again. They were able to continue to slow that run game. And when the offense of the Pittsburgh Steelers does just enough and dominates in terms of time of possession, they may have not have put up big touchdown numbers, but they were able to do just enough and do the thing that was most important for the Steelers to be successful, and that was keeping the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands. That's exactly what they did. They followed that to the T, and that was the way that they were able to defeat the Baltimore Ravens. It was a very simple thing, and we kept telling you before the game, what did the Steelers have to do defensively? What did they have to do offensively? We told you defensively they had to stay in their position, stay in their lanes, do their job. That's what keeps Lamar Jackson inside of that pocket, collapsing things around him, forcing him to step up, the linebackers cleaning up the mess, the defensive line not allowing him to escape, batting balls down when he steps up in the pocket. You saw Cam Hayward at least two batted balls, and without rewatching the game, I think I've seen 3 or 4 batted passes by the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was special. That was exactly what they were supposed to do. We kept telling you, this is how you win. This is how you defeat a running quarterback such as Lamar Jackson. You don't allow him to get out and get mobile and make throws on the run. When he was able to do that during the course of this ball game, you saw him hit wide receivers. Sometimes his wide receivers blatantly just dropped the pass, which wasn't a Lamar problem, but you saw him be able to start to be effective, start to get things moving for the Baltimore Ravens, and that was where you were bending, but you never broke if you were the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. You never just got snapped, and that was big. And that shows the guts and shows exactly what this football team is all about defensively. And in my opinion, that was one of the biggest X factors. The Baltimore defense just wasn't as good as the Steelers defense, and that was going to really dictate this game in a big way, because the Steelers were going to be able to get those extra stops that maybe perhaps the Baltimore defense wasn't able to get, and the Steelers dominating in time of possession by 13 minutes, I believe. That's a lot, guys. And that's exactly the type of performance that you want to see from the Pittsburgh Steelers when you're facing the number 1 offense statistically in the entire NFL. You saw the Raiders. You saw the Cleveland Clowns. You saw teams like that be able to defeat the Baltimore Ravens with a similar formula, a formula in which they've copied out of the Pittsburgh Steelers playbook. The Steelers now are what? 1-4 or 4-1 against Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson holding a very piss poor record. And since 2020, the Pittsburgh Steelers have dominated the Baltimore Ravens, and they've really taken control of this rivalry. And yes, it's still a rivalry, even though it is right now a little bit lopsided in terms of which team's winning. But these games come down to very, very close margins. And right now, I believe since 2020, the Steelers have scored 999 points in this rivalry, and the Baltimore Ravens have scored 1,002 points. That's how razor thin of a margin this game is each and every time that they play it. Yes, Russell Wilson, guys, wasn't his Russell Wilson self where he threw 3 touchdown passes today. But what did he do that was special? He maintained maintained his composure. He maintained his veteran presence and continued to march them down the field and get his offense into field goal range. And when you have a player like Chris Boswell that is almost automatic from anywhere from 60 in, it's special. And if you're Russell Wilson, you know that. And you don't have to force the issue. Now, that one interception, I could say I got to blame that a little bit on Darnell and a little bit on Russell. I don't think it's, all on one or the other there. But again, Russell Wilson knew what the formula was. He wasn't forcing the issue, wasn't making plays out of nothing, trying to be a hero. He knew that if he got in Chris Boswell field goal range, the Steelers were going to be able to put points on the board. And it doesn't matter how you win, especially at this point of the season, my friends. This is a time where a win is a win because you are just trying to get out of stadiums. There are injuries all across the NFL. There are tough games that are going to continue to come up each and every single week. And all you're doing, if you're the Steelers, is just figuring out ways each and every week to get out of the stadium, no matter if it looks pretty or not. Excuse me. And that's exactly what they are doing each and every week, and you have to admire that about this football team, my friends. You have to admire the way they are able to fight and come up with new ways each and every week to win. And that's another thing that we told you here right before the season started and right when it began. That this Steelers football team doesn't care who the hero is each and every week. And each and every week, there's going to be a different player that is responsible in the big way for getting this Pittsburgh team out of a stadium, getting them on to the next week, improving their record. It's going to be a different character every single week. And that is special considering they have not even unlocked, I wouldn't even say 60% total of their offensive potential. I wouldn't say that they've even unlocked that much. And that is so encouraging because there is a long way to go and there is still a lot of room for improvement, and they are still able to control the time of possession by 13 minutes. And that's even with poor offensive line play and poor play in general offensively, and not being able to punch it in and take advantage of your opportunities. I predicted the score to be 31-10, and honestly, quite honestly, as Mike Tomlin would like to say, this should have been a blowout. The Steelers had 4 opportunities inside of the red zone and weren't able to capitalize, but they relied on Chris Boswell's field goals. I'm just saying, they had their chances. I'm not sure if that was exactly how many chances they had in the red zone, but they had quite a few, especially off of turnovers and things of that nature. Missed field goals by Justin Tucker. They were able to get the ball back in those situations. They had their opportunities. I'll better look at the statistics here tonight for Steel City Live, but yeah, what a win, man. 8-2. Atop of the AFC North. And if you look at this conference right now, the AFC conference as a whole, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the 3 seed and not really separated by much. The Kansas City Chiefs sit 9-1. The Buffalo Bills are 9-2. And there you have the Steelers, 8-2. They aren't separated by much. Those teams just haven't had their bye week yet. That's why they sit a game ahead of them. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have a very big opportunity sitting in front of them, going into games against the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. And if you're the Steelers, after watching the Bengals, I believe, get dog walked last night, they were getting crushed whenever I was watching it. And the Browns losing again yesterday, and now a quick turnaround going back to Thursday night football, going to Cleveland to play the shit stains. This opportunity is big, and you can't collapse, and you can't have that moment in which you did last year. But I can't compare this team right now in 2024 to that team from last year in 2023. They are not the same, even remotely close. So I don't anticipate a monumental collapse. Will they lose another game? Absolutely. It's hard to run the AFC North without losing a game. Why? Because teams are very familiar with you. They know your systems. They know exactly what you're putting out there each and every time. And they're usually just slugfests. So that's going to be a tough mountain to overcome here and get over. But the Steelers also face the Chiefs and the Eagles still. And that's going to be something that they have to figure out here and take care of business. So, Yeah, it's going to be a fun ride. So thank you. And that's exactly, guys, what we were talking about, how the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to defeat the Baltimore Ravens. Again, it was a very simple formula. This defense is probably, if not the best, one of the top three defenses in the NFL. And it isn't even close sometimes with what they are able to do. They are just a special group full of special, unselfish players. And it's starting to really show. In that offense, they're not any slouches, guys. And just because they relied on 6 Chris Boswell field goals yesterday doesn't mean that the sky is falling on them. They are still going to be able to be very, very good, and they are going to still put up those points week in and week out, and be able to guide this football team to some serious wins, man. And this is a special group, a very special group, and Chris Boswell is absolutely superhuman. All right, guys, until tonight for Steel City Live, give me about 7:30, 8 o'clock. We'll see what happens. I might have to get my son from work, so it might be a little after 8. We'll see. But make sure your notification bell's on. That's how you know when Steel City Live is about to kick off. So until then, I'm Jason. Peace, my friends. See you on the next one.